that. All right. See you soon. with a slight risk of creating a little bit of a habit, I want to tell you a story. Little bit of humour attached to it as well, but not a lot, just a bit. And I'll get him to link it through to all the speech he's got ready for you today. And so let's get on with it. Look, what religion have we picked on for a while? Let's say there's a priest, right? And a priest, every day he does the same thing. He walks from his house over to his church and sits in his church, undertakes his ritual that he does, same time, same ritual, same place every day. And one day he's walking over to the church, and there's a policeman that comes and sees him, and the policeman's new to the village and says, "Well, what are you doing?" He says, "Well, God only knows." And the policeman thought he's been a bit flippant. And he arrests him and says, "Well, if you're going to have that attitude with me, then I'm going to arrest you," and takes him into prison and locks him up in the cell waiting. And he's in there, and the priest's wife comes and says, "What are you doing being flippant to the nice policeman?" He said, "I wasn't being flippant." He said, "All I was saying that I was God only knows, and I find myself in jail." There you go. I told you there weren't that much humour to it, but anyway. All right, I'll see you later. Ta-ra. We will link the story into the speech in a short while. And you begin to see God only knows is in course, in fact, the only truth. Today, of course, is the 100th episode of this style of communication each week we have attended. Bar any breaks or vacations, then we are here to talk to you each week with the idea of pointing you back to your truth by saying to you, this is the journey home that you are undertaking, that the plan of connection to your spiritual home is your mission, your purpose, your truth in where you are going. And this will come apparent as we get further into the talk today. But before we carry on, may I have the healing list now, please, Brandon?
Yes. Katz, Mark, Eddie, Michaela, Chris, Anne, Sean, Brian, Christine, Devin and Jamie, Nigel and Michelle Clark, Steve and Denise Wareham, Roz and Janine Sheridan, Rose Frazier, Anna, Jason and Belinda, Teresa, Kristen Howard, Arnold Portillo Racino, Jonah, Daniel, Neil, and Lorraine, Raylene Parsons, Taylor, Vicky, Lorna, and Sarah. We thank you.
Many times people come and talk to myself through this medium with the intent of finding purpose and direction, finding their understanding how to remove the obstacles which are in the way of their truth. And to understand this, we will go back just 1 week. At the very last sentence or two was a quote that I used, and that was, "When a blind man leads a blind man, both men fall into the pit." Now, of course, you could say that by the quality of whoever your teacher is, or whatever modality you wish to learn, or where is your teacher? Is your teacher physical or non-physical? Deep within the essence of man, there is a remembrance of times gone by, a time often referred to as Sat Yuga. Yuga meaning a time of around 12,000 years, Sat meaning light or truth. And at this time, when the light was evident and all lived within the light and the understanding of the light, then one helped another. There was a sense of community, a sense that all were walking the same path, but guiding each other. All were walking for the benefit of the other, and not for the benefit of self. The light was evident, and the light of the ability and what was capable at that time was very strong within man. And man found ways then of accomplishing any task with relative simplicity and with ease. The time of man now is in Kali Yuga. Kali is one of separation, division, of being apart. And again, as was said last week, then man decides to define by smaller and smaller degrees the difference between one and another. Height, color of skin, color of hair, sexuality, location, culture, religion. And any smaller amount we can find seems to be the motto. And then man, of course, sees those out there as being more and more problematic, and is non-inclusive in any action, location, vocation, or even the direction somebody will move. So man then finds luxury in being by themselves in a luxury apartment or in a car with all the windows up and the doors locked, and a feeling then of, I am safe away from them, those others. The others, of course, are very difficult people, very obviously people in another country or another belief. But then they become members of who is unknown to you within your immediate vicinity. And then members which have a different belief. Family members become them. And you rely on your inner circle, and then your inner circle becomes them and me again, them children, them adults, them brothers, them sisters, them parents. And even your partner becomes me and them. And then after a while, you look internally and you find the study of yourself, giving you a separation between you and yourself, also can lead to the problems of understanding. But in Satya Yuga, the understanding of self was in the opposite direction. Through the study of internal work, the connectedness to partner, to family, to community, to society, to humanity, to the world, became more and more evident in the life of all beings. And the desire to serve and to help became stronger than the desire of self-satisfaction. A man remembers Satya Yuga, not consciously, but by a little seed somewhere deep inside. So now man wants to help others, and those who that seed is still fairly active, has the desire to heal others, to serve others, to demonstrate to others the benefit of unity. So you can live within Kali Yuga, the time of separation and division, by living in Sat Yuga within Kali Yuga. So even if the world is separating at smaller amounts, you go inwards and express your truth, your seed, your understanding, your connectedness. You express this to the world. So you become the truth. You become the unity. You become the light. And you become all of this, no matter what is happening in the world, to remind others of their time of connectedness to all. So when my man feels out of alignment, and they come to talk to myself and say, what is going wrong? Why am I not connected? Why is my world falling apart and I feel that the world is such a traumatic place? Then my job, and your job accordingly, is to remind people of the light, of Sat, of times of Sat Yuga, of connectedness, time of being together. And these times are not that long ago. Times of community maybe only let us say 100 years ago, when communities were small, just on a street where you lived, where everyone shared everything, helped each other. That you would even remember these times yourself, times of sharing and connectedness. Maybe as a child within your family, maybe further into the history than that. And the divisions which form are a representation of the divisions that are internally. So the world is reflecting the internal struggle of man, the internal desire to go home, to be connected, to be with light, yet lives in the world of dark. So now the world splits, it forms famines, diseases, all sorts of disasters as man struggles to bridge the gap internally. So the God only knows is a reflection of the light of truth. So within the mind of man then has a battle. The battle, if you like, between two sides of the brain, if you want to look at it that way, between logical and creative, between the understanding of the past and the life or the world where you find yourself today. The desire to constantly do rather than to just sit and accept. And when this occurs, man tries to push, to do, to achieve, to control his life, rather than letting the life flow with truth and honesty. So one side of the mind applies the brakes for control, and the other side of the mind wants to allow the flow. You find that there is a restriction between the flow of simplicity and the desire for control and order and structure. So then the mind goes into battle. One side wanting flow, the other side wanting order, and which side will win is dependent upon the being, the person. And you would know yourself when you let go of control. Life seems to work in a very natural and effortless way. All the effort is in control and trying to be a certain way. So as you try to drive with the brakes on, then life becomes hard. It becomes restricted. It becomes difficult to navigate. You do not know which way you are going. You feel disordered and out of order in your natural health of the body. You feel struggle. You feel uncertainty. You know that there is an easier way. yet you cannot find it. You believe that there is difficulties that must be overcome, and then you will find your flow, your light, your truth. And you search under rocks and in mountains and through trees, under water and out into space, to find what is the key to your door of serenity, light, and flow. And you feel out of order now, some to a very small degree and some to a lot larger degree. As I said, there are many who come for conversations with me. Then the remembrance of the truth is perhaps at least part of my work. So when you let go of the control, you start by one simple exercise. And the exercise can give results almost instantly if you are sufficiently comprehending. And that is to sit in a little moment of silence and to let go of who you think you are. And you can see the glimmers. You can see the peace that starts to develop. Why do I need to do that? And then the flow of truth becomes easy. Now, if you can find your hidden light, this little connectedness that starts, you will fall into love. And you will fall into peace as you let go of what you are not. That, of course, is identity death, but represents also the death of the physicality as well. That you are just letting go of who you thought you were to reveal who you actually are. So, as has been mentioned before by myself, you can die before you die. It's not a quote which I claim, but you can die before you die. Let go of who you think you are. And see what this does for you. And then in sitting in your flow, with awareness, with minimal effort, you sit within Satyuga. You sit within light, within truth. And the flow of the world happens with peace and serenity. And all is accomplished. just like the lilies in the vale. Now, a tree does not try to be anything other than what it is. It does not try to be a big tree when it's a small tree. It does not try to be evergreen when it is a fruit tree. It accepts. And in the natural flow of that acceptance, then it becomes what it is meant to become. Because what else could it be? So what are you trying to be? Are you trying to be well when you're not well? Are you trying to be strong when you feel weak? Are you trying to be clever to hide your self-doubt? Are you trying to be a being of light when you have not found your light? So why should you know your direction? Could you know your direction? Is that not purely up to God? As has been said before, by clearing away the dust within the diamond, what you hold on to and try to be, you restrict the flow of light into the world. So the energy that you require is held back by you. The veil is no more than the false self by the mind that seeks, desires, and cannot accept. So the act of meditation helps to strip away the falseness and to allow the truth. As we've said before, it allows more energy into the world. Does not create energy, but allows the energy that is naturally there. So within your being is the remembrance of light, the desire to go back to there, the desire to serve and to help others is the remembrance of light. Man puts danger in its way and says we cannot help because of them. And in doing so restricts everything into the falseness of being. And yet within yourself, you remember the light. Now that light is often seen to begin with in the very distance, a little something that your meditating self seems to attach to. And it goes in search internally, but the search should not happen. The meditating self does not search for, but strips away the dust to allow the light to come close. So the mantra not only removes your obstacle, but cleans the mirror. The mantra does the work of purifying self to allow what is waiting for you to be expressed, to be felt, to enjoy, to be in love. So spirituality, in a very limited form, is often seen as removing the brakes and allowing the flow. And then those who try to understand spirit say there is no such thing as spirit. There is no such thing as that universe that you worship. It is but going with the flow. And if the layman needs to buy this belief, well, so be it. And of course, now this gives rise to a self, a separate higher self, a separate soul, a separate spirit. Where in truth, each level, each realm, each dimension, each level of spirit world, if you want that, is no more than letting go of oneself to reveal a greater self. So you see the priest in the story. He was in his flow, did the work each day at the same time, at the same place, and allowed the flow of God to be in his life. And you do not need to be a priest. You just need to let go of who you think you are. If you do not, then a blind man leads a blind man. To those which are undertaking the work and challenge that we speak about in the other groups, this is how the mantra takes you to the door of God. And this is how the mantra will reveal your love. And in time, there will be greater desires to be of service. In times, there will be greater energy. Life will work smoother because there's less resistance. And then you will see the truth that you are becoming the diamond and have stopped being the charcoal. So this talk on energy, again, is to remove the blocks to the energy. So that you may see that it is full of love and peace. What you want, you already have. So the truth is, God only knows. God bless you all. Until next week. And we will continue our journey. Let go of who you think you are and see what happens.